So Laura Dekker's story was a worldwide story, and many of you may have noticed it at the time. A 14-year-old girl in Holland decides she wants to sail around the world alone, and the child protection authorities in her country move to stop her. There are parents, of course. The father is for it. The mother is ambivalent, mostly negative. It goes to court. She pursues the issue all the way to the court, and eventually the court decides to let her go. So we've had many child geniuses on this stage, precocious children, mostly musicians, the occasional mathematician, but to see that kind of zeal and that kind of natural bravery and talent applied to solo sailing, that's something entirely more rare, and this is Laura Dekker. So good to meet you.
Thank you. All right, so time has gone. To be saying this, I find this a lot more scary than crossing an ocean. So just to give myself a moment to get some breath, I'm going to start with a short video. Oh, well, that was not. There we go. Het gaat wel lekker hard. En nu zeil ik. En het moet hem helemaal mee. Ik kan het niet zien, maar het is echt heel raar om weer zo dicht bij land te zijn. Luister ik naar de SSB en praat nog met andere zeilers. Gooi alle vliegende vissen weer van het dek af, de kleine inktvisjes. En now, I'm gonna offer my pancake to Neptune. The moment is here. Oh, it landed on the deck. Oh man, I'm not good at this. Aha! Okay, that's where I want to start. Right, so this is not my boat. It's my parents' boat. I figured really the only way to describe why I wanted to do this is to start with my parents. My parents are not, like, really normal. They're kind of insane, actually. My dad started building this boat when he was 16 years old and finished at 22. He then met my mother, they married, and they sailed around the world. In New Zealand, I was born. And we continued after 2 years from New Zealand on the boat. We always lived on the boat. We stopped a lot along the way. My mom working as a street performer with hair like snakes, but mostly she did clown for birthday parties and things like that. My dad is a boat builder, so we went through Australia, Indonesia, where my mom got pregnant again, and they flew to Germany, where my sister Kim was born, who is now 15 years old and works in a circus. She doesn't like sailing. Neither does my mom. She still sailed around the world for 7 years. I don't know why. She said she just liked traveling but not sailing. So she works in the circus in summer holidays as she's still in school, but yeah, crazy parents make crazy kids, I guess. So my dad wasn't quite over building boats. This is his new project, which he started when I was 6. He started building this from scratch, made the drawings. It's a replica of another ship, and he started from literally a huge pile of wood. After 2 years, it was this, and now it's this. Again, he started when I was 6, and this is now. It's supposed to be a sailboat. From that, just putting it out there, I got inspired and started building my own boat too. So this is me at the age of 6. It's my first boat. I built it myself. I started like this, and it became that, which is a little bit more advanced. I sailed this across the river to the other side, which at the time seemed like a huge challenge. From there, I advanced to a little bit of bigger boat, which I got through a friend, fixed it up, and I did first racing competitions with this. It's a 2-man boat, so I wasn't allowed to sail it single-handed in races, mostly because I won all the time, and they just said that it was the fault that I was sailing on my own. So that's why my dog is there. I sailed with my dog, and they allowed this because he weighed pretty much the same as me. And we still won. And it was great. And he kept sailing with me. This is a boat that was a boat from my dad's boss, and I asked him if I could sail it, and he said, yeah, if you clean it up, take care of it, you can sail it. So I did, and I started really loving going further. So I got money, and I bought myself this boat. Now, many people go like, where the hell do you get this money? Just to say this, I was born in a very poor family. My parents worked very hard for every bit of money they had, but I chose to not keep the money. I chose to work a bit and travel, which is what I do. And for this boat, I worked very hard. From the age of 8 through 11, I cleaned shops every day after school. I did newspapers. At some stages, I even rode a unicycle around in the city during performances and things like that. So yes, I bought this boat on my own for my own money at the age of 11. Hang on, it gets better. So then, I decided I wanted to sail to England. I'd sailed all around Holland in my summer holidays for 7 weeks on my own with the dog. And England was the next big challenge. I did this at the age of 13, and I decided it was a good idea not to tell anybody about this, because I had a sense that I would not agree with it. So I arrived in England, and after a few days, the police was kind of wondering what this little girl on her boat was doing, and they started questioning me and calling my dad, who surprisingly was not too worried, because I was gone and the boat was gone, and he knew I could sail, so he was like, okay. My mom, though, was quite freaked out, but the police made my dad come over, and he said, well, you sailed here, you can sail back. So I did. And he kind of hoped that my dream that I had had since the age of 8 to sail around the world would fade away by crossing the English Channel. The English Channel is a very difficult stretch of water, and a lot of good sailors don't want to sail there. And seriously, after 40,000 miles that I did now, I would not go sailing there again for fun. It's a horrible piece of water. It's always shitty weather, a lot of wind, a lot of ships. It's seriously no fun. But I loved it, and I wanted to have more. So, unfortunately, not everybody agreed with this. And I had to do schooling, so I wanted to go homeschooling, and I went to the person who has to allow this, and she just thought that I was completely insane. So I went through 10 months of court cases, 8 court cases in total. During these court cases, I got myself another boat, because they told me that the boat I had before was too small, which it's small, but it's not too small. So I got this boat, I fixed it up together with my dad, and kind of felt like there was another slide in between that. This is okay. My dad literally taught me everything I could possibly know about sailing, navigation, engines, technical fixing stuff, everything. So I won the court cases after a year, which was a lot more challenging than the trip itself. And it was very difficult because I knew how to sail, but I had no clue how to handle media or anything like that. So to learn very quickly. On the 21st of August 2010, I finally left on my big trip. And whoops. So first I went down to the Canary Islands, I crossed the Atlantic, I encountered my first kind of storm. I made a big mistake by watching The Day After Tomorrow and getting totally freaked out about hurricanes, and then the next day I had this huge storm, and I was like, so yes, I was scared sometimes, but hey, there is no way out. You can't really step over the side and swim back, and turning around is not really going to help either, so you've just got to keep going. Plus, I realized that this was the dream that I've had since I was 8, so of course I was not going to give up. I was going to keep going, and I knew the challenges laid along the way. They were just good, and over time, I began to really love challenges. I sadly don't have enough time to explain every technical detail, but this is a wind vane. It steers the boat, so I don't just sit there and steer the boat all the time. I can just kind of read, cook, do whatever. I don't have to row or steer. And it broke, so that's a huge problem, but I fixed it. On the ocean, it's kind of like being in a roller coaster and having to fix something. So I finally reached the Caribbean after 17 days at sea, and there I met locals who were very different from what I knew in the Western world. They lived in houses that kind of looked like this. And still they invited me and for dinner, gave me food, gave me water, and basically everything that they had. And that was such a beautiful thing to see these people share everything that they have. Well, they don't have anything, and they're happy to give you these things. It's such a beautiful thing. I asked them if they would have $1 million, what would they do with it? And they had honestly no idea. They were like, oh, well, but I already have everything. I have a house, I have food, I have my family, I'm happy. And that's changed my world. Because on my boat, I didn't have much either. I don't have a shower. I don't have any fancy navigating things. I've got a GPS and a paper map. And my wind vane is about it. Pretty happy with it. So, yeah, you learn to live with the basics. And I learned that makes you really happy, and it really makes you appreciate other things that are out there. So these people live in these huts, and they're happy. It's awesome. Who wants a house? Who wants a bigger house? Who wants, like, 3 cars? What are you going to do with 3 cars at one time? Right? So from there on, I went through the Panama Canal, and pretty cool thing, but I'm going to move on. I went through the Pacific, where I encountered the most beautiful islands and experience I've had on my trip so far. Beautiful sunsets, Sadly, not as much sea creatures as I wish there were out there. My parents told me they saw dolphins every day. The times I saw dolphins, I can count on 2 hands. It's very sad. And they're such beautiful creatures, so that's one thing, they're disappearing, and that's very sad. So it was beautiful moments when I did actually see them. I did see flying fish as well. Now, I'm not that good a photographer that I can make a picture of a flying fish flying. This is a dead flying fish. So I guess I have a better imagination than actually being able to make pictures. And these are a lot of dead flying fish. If we saw in the presentation before, it happens a lot, and it was a disgusting job to pick them up in the morning, chuck them back in the water. I didn't eat them. No, I didn't fish. I don't like killing fish. Yes, I sail around the world, but I don't like killing fish. So from there on, through the Pacific, again, the most beautiful islands I've seen, and also the most hospitable and awesome people I have met. Of course, here are really awesome people too. I'm not saying that you guys are not nice. Definitely not. I have encountered many, many nice people in my travels. I just really loved the way of thinking of these people. It totally opened my eyes. Having nothing and just being hospitable and inviting me all the time was amazing. I wish I could give the same to everybody. So from there on, I went through the entire Pacific. I stopped quite a bit on the way, but had a little bit of pressure as well to stay in the right seasons. And therefore, I pushed my boat quite a bit. I stopped, I wanted to see the island, didn't really have a lot of time to fix things, so things started really falling apart. Here, my steering wheel actually fell off, which is very inconvenient. So I had to kind of make something that it stays there, which worked out. And on my trip to Darwin, I actually had all of my sails rip. So it's just kind of having still pieces of sail up, but it just slowed me down a lot. Most of the time, like these things, I would stitch by hand, but I literally had complete sails just blow out. So here I am in Darwin, fixing things. I chose not to have big sponsors. I had people helping me to prepare the boat, but I didn't have any big sponsors because I kind of thought, well, they're going to want something back, and they're kind of going to tell me what to do, and I don't really want that. I just want to have my own trip. I wanted to sail around the world, and I'm going to do it, and it's going to be my way. So I did that. The consequences of that, though, were I didn't have much money. I had to work on the trip, and this is the cheap way of getting my boat out of the water. I just literally beached it. There was a big difference in tide, so I went up on high tide, tied it up to the poles, and just waited until it was low tide. Checked everything, did that a couple times, and done. Saved $1,000. So, okay, I know a little bit. Here, this is one of my communication systems that just failed working. This looks very interesting. I actually have no idea what's going on there. I just thought, man, that looks like candy. So, I don't know. But I do know a little bit about engines. Not a lot, but enough to fix it. Luckily, it's a sailboat, so I don't really need an engine. And I did try to maintain my boat. I figured out that laundry just doesn't wash itself. Kind of a discovery when you're 13 years old and you live on your own for the first time. Same as that, the fridge just doesn't fill itself. Okay, I didn't actually have a fridge, but okay, cupboards. And shopping is quite an experience. If you live on a boat, I was always at anchor, so I had to go with my backpack to the shop, put it in the dinghy, go to my boat, try to chuck it on the boat while the boat's going up and down without falling in the water. On my own, of course, because I didn't have my dog with me. So he probably wouldn't have been great help anyway. And from there on, I sailed to South Africa, which I sailed straight from Australia to South Africa. It took me, how long did it take me? I think like 52 days. I already forgot. I started out with 2 weeks of no wind, nothing. 2 weeks, imagine sitting there out in the ocean. There's just nothing you can do. So it was a little bit of frustrating at the time, but yeah, as I said, there's just nothing you can do. You just have to wait. So that's what I did. I waited. and watched a lot of movies. From there, I got a lot of storms, which I actually loved a lot more because they just got me moving. And I did encounter some big storms. I got a knockdown. For people that don't know what is a knockdown, the mast goes flat in the water. And I was just hanging there, holding on, my feet flying in the air, having a full shower inside of my cabin while everything was closed. But I was fortunate enough that nothing big really broke, and I just thought, okay, that just happened. The rain was awesome. As I said, I didn't have a shower, didn't have a water maker, so rain was really good, and I collected a lot of it. I did have some company on the way. This is Messi. He stayed with me for a week. He is called Messi because he shat in my entire cabin. I gave him some sardines, and he threw them around my cabin. And this is the present that he left me. Very nice. Oh, okay, yes. In South Africa, I got the most severe storm I went through. Not really in waves, but more in wind. I had 65 knots of wind, which, it's a lot of wind, but it didn't really scare me or anything. It's just something that you have to go through. If you're in a storm, you're just like, okay, I'm in a storm. There's no way out. You just have to keep going. And that's kind of if you're in these situations where there's no way out and you have to keep going, you're focused on keeping going. So no, I was not scared in storms. From there, I went back to the Caribbean. Another non-stop voyage from South Africa straight to the Caribbean. And yes, I sailed at night. You can't anchor at night. The ocean is like 3,000, 4,000 meters deep. I don't have that much stain on board. So the boat sails itself. You keep the sails up. Of course, you need to wake up every now and then and look around that everything is still fine. But keep going. I got my last rough parts and then arrived safely after exactly a year back in St. Martin, the Caribbean, where my family was waiting for me. And for me, it was kind of weird because it was the end of a dream, but the beginning of my life. And I was like, okay, I achieved this thing that I've been wanting to do for my entire life. What am I going to do now? You know? So I thought, okay, I don't really know, so I'm just going to keep sailing. And so I sailed to New Zealand, where I was born, and that's where my base is now. I live in New Zealand. I sailed together with a cat, and wanted visitor. He just creeps on the boat one day when I was an anchor, scared the crap out of me, but he left the next day. So in New Zealand, I got my driver's license, got a car, traveled around the whole of New Zealand, and I wrote a book in German and Dutch. It will be published in English by the end of this year. And I'm also a youth ambassador of a youth group in New Zealand that's against or trying to prevent suicides in New Zealand. New Zealand has got one of the highest suicide rates under youth. So I'm promoting and being an ambassador of that group. And I'm just traveling a lot. I want to maybe become a professional captain, but then kind of afraid I might get too much of sailing. So I don't know. There's a lot of options. But that's my story.